Well, my friends, we got a lot going on in the news these days, especially this balloon that's flying overhead. America says, you're spying on us. And President Xi of China says, we're not spying. It's just a case of he said, she said. What can you do? Actually, we believe that China is probably just full of hot air in their denials, but we do have to try to get along with everybody, and so we're trying to figure out a way of peacefully resolving this issue. The Torah is all about judgments and justice in this passage. This passage is called Mishpatim. Judgments. Many people think we shouldn't judge others. That would be wrong. Jews don't believe that way. Our most significant day, Day of Judgment. Our most significant passage, Mishpatim. If you don't form judgments, what are we? If we don't separate, well, that's right and that's wrong. That's true and that's false. That's a loving thing to do. That's harmful. If we can't separate out the good from the bad, then there is no morality. Yet we hear it said all the time that we shouldn't judge others. I was at an interfaith conference yesterday, led by a renowned scholar at a university who traveled the world in order to determine how can religions get along. And his first thing was, don't judge any other religions. That would be a terrible thing to do. He did say to point out sources of conflict wherever you find it. Afterwards, I asked, if we can't cite anything wrong in any other religion or political realm, how do we point out sources of hate and conflict? How do we do that if it arises in other areas? I received no response, and I don't think I will. Suggesting that we shouldn't judge bad from good or point out things that are dangerous and try to preserve a world of peace would be like saying that we should try to wipe out lung cancer but never mention cigarettes. And if you do, don't judge them. No, no, no. This is a fool's errand. Mishpatim is telling us that we must judge. We also have something else very significant in this passage. This is the passage, Exodus 20:21, that I didn't read for you, that says, if two men are struggling and one of them injures a woman bystander, the one responsible pays a fine. Of course, it's kind of archaic. He pays the fine not to the woman, to the woman's husband. Well, it's a step in the right direction. It says if the woman dies, then you pay with your life. And it says in Hebrew, nefesh tachat nefesh, a life for a life. And then it says if she's pregnant and miscarries, then he pays a fine. It just said nefesh tachat nefesh, a life for a life, but if she miscarries, it's a fine. What does that tell us? It tells us that the fetus is not a life. There's no doubt about it. All these people who say that they believe in the Bible, have they ever read it? These people who are saying they're opposed to abortion, there is no prohibition against abortion in the Bible, Jewish or Christian. If you'll pardon the expression, it's a pregnant silence. The prohibition doesn't exist. And the thought that life begins at conception based on the Bible is a misconception. According to the Bible, it begins at birth, and that's why Congregation Va-Dor has filed a lawsuit against the governor, against the state of Florida, because this law criminalizes the practice of Judaism. And we will not abide that. That is a form of anti-Semitism. When you tell Jewish people you can't practice your religion, we're going to tell you what your laws will be. And by the way, they're going to be fundamentalist Christian laws or Catholic laws. We're going to tell you how you practice your religion. That is anti-Semitic. And we will fight back. What is true about this whole discussion, which is quite miraculous, is three words that I want to share with you. Ontogeny recapitulates phylogeny. You ever heard that before? No. It's a mouthful. Ontogeny recapitulates phylogeny. Here's what it means. according to Darwin, whose birthday we just celebrated, and evidence which has been confirmed overwhelmingly, there's more evidence for evolution than there is that the Civil War took place. All right, or that World War II happened, okay? There's overwhelming evidence. According to all the evidence, we got here by an incredible chain of wondrous occurrences that occurred on this planet when life emerged out of non-life and then formed a cell and then reproduced and then diversified and then complexified and then led to all types of creatures, including our ancestors, who somehow were able to overcome their deficits of not being able to run as fast as the other animals and not being as strong and not having sharp teeth. They had to use their minds in order to develop intelligence to survive. Somehow they came across over hundreds of thousands of years and evolved into us. This is an incredible, miraculous series of events, one which would probably never occur again on this planet or perhaps any other, and we should celebrate that. But here's the amazing thing about this phrase. That's called phylogeny. Phylogeny is the evolution from one species to another. Ontogeny is the development of the cell in the womb. The cell starts out as each one of us started out as a single cell, just like life on Earth started as an amoeba. And then if you look at the womb, you'll see that it also is in water. And in the cell, in the womb, we also have gills, and we're breathing in water, and we're surrounded in water like we were originally. Life emerged out of water. Then the gills give way, and they become lungs. And then we look like a fish, and then a salamander, and then we have a tail, and then the tail disappears, and then we grow fur, and then the fur disappears, and then we look like a primate, and then our brain develops very rapidly, so rapidly that that a woman's body can't accommodate it. That's why we give birth, women do, in such pain and difficulty, which is why we should give them a break and let them decide if they want to undergo that. And other animals, the birth process is not so difficult, because the brain develops so quickly so that we can survive. So what's amazing is that the process of evolution, which occurred over billions of years, occurs within each one of us, all over again. And it's captured in the phrase by John Haldane. A woman said to him, he was a great scientist, and he was a polyglot, he knew everything. She said, "I don't believe that evolution happened. You want me to believe that a single cell evolved into a human being?" He said, "Why don't you believe it? You did it yourself, and it only took you 9 months." Okay, so the proof of it is right there in our own bodies. And so we celebrate on this day the wonder of evolution, the wonder of the fact that we have evolved incredible capacities that allow us to enjoy life, to contemplate life, and to improve our lives. Darwin said that to kill an error is even better than to discover a new truth. And the error of biblical creation has now been laid to rest, or it should for most of us. So let us celebrate Darwin. Let us celebrate the fact that we've now learned where we came from, and let us celebrate this. The reason why human beings have emerged in such a spectacular way is because we improved gradually over time. Let us ask ourselves, do we do that? Are we improving over time? Or are we the same way now as we were 6 months ago, a year ago, 5 years ago? If we continue to evolve, there's no stopping us. As my father used to say, the greatest miracle is that we do not have to be tomorrow the person we are today if we use all the potential implanted within us by God. And I don't think my father would mind if I allowed his statement to evolve in the next generation to say, the greatest miracle is that we don't have to be today the person we were yesterday if we use all the potential that's been placed in us through a multi-billion-year process of evolution, which allowed us to come all types of insurmountable odds and allow us now to be able to overcome the problems of this world. Let us see how we can improve every single day. Shabbat Shalom.